I do think that uh, there have been instances, even like when I've been reading about it, that self care can be really radical. And I know I referenced like Audre Lorde and Sarah Taylor in this, but I think what made me question self care, especially like capitalistic self care, um, is having to work in environments that, were racist, but also getting through like work environments and grad school and kind of being told that I could self care my way out of microaggressions, right? And out of experiences of harm. And so, like, even for me, as someone who's studying social work, therapy even tells us, or therapeutic practice can tell us to like lean into exploring, these feelings of belonging and why we don't belong. But then if you haven't seen yourself reflected and uplifted and affirmed, it can be really hard to fit into spaces, right? Especially if those spaces are white or you don't feel like you belong there. So I think um, I started off thinking about self care in this very capitalistic way. And um, I think the thing that kind of made me think about it more is that the blame I feel is sometimes put on the individual for not self caring hard enough, right? But then I think the thing that really changed my viewpoint is like in addition to like all the literature that I've mentioned is an understanding of systems of oppression because that blame doesn't get put on yourself. um, so I could tell myself like, okay, I've done individual reflection, I've done journaling, I've done grounding, but I am seeking out an individual solution to a systemic issue by trying to only have self-care. And so I think what I needed in that moment was community and people to affirm me. So
Again, one of the various like very short articles that I found online that were referencing the idea of community care or collective care.
mm-hmm.
And one is from a couple years ago from the University of Alberta, and it talks about how if the environment around you is an unhealthy environment or it's hurting you or making you question yourself, then self care is not necessarily going to fix that. It doesn't change your situation that you're in. You're still going out into the world and facing the same environment that's making you feel that way. So why should you expect doing all this individual work to make that better when that's not the source of the problem?
Absolutely, yeah.
The article also mentioned the idea that self-care has become very commodified, or people have used it to make a lot of money because it's framed as something that you need to purchase or that you need to buy. And then it becomes, like you said, where it's, oh, you're not doing enough, you're not putting enough time, you're not putting enough money into this, and that's why you continue to feel bad.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's really interesting because if I can add something to that, Monica, um, is that the like when Audre Lorde wrote about this in her like 19, yes, I have it quoted here, but like a 1988 uh, essay, so it's called A Burst of Light and Other Essays. She has this quote, and it's quoted often, and I'm sure you've heard it, um, where she says that caring for myself is not self-indulgence, it is self-preservation, and that is an act of political warfare. And she often says this, where self care can be a really radical act to protect yourself against systems and to preserve your energy and to go forward. But I think sometimes, especially in the pandemic, those things have been lost, I think. And as you said, there's a whole industry that is intent on seeing how we can self care better. and and who has access to that. And so that also gets into like class lines of like socioeconomic status in class, because who can access the really nice spa day, or the like, or the weekend getaway, or anything else, right? And so I think the initial, at least from what I've read and what's influenced me, the initial um aspect of it was to actually protect your energy and be able to, what, like, when confronting systems. But I think it's been like Western notions of it have really made it into a commodity. So if that makes sense.
I guess there's a difference between protecting your energy and ignoring systems or pretending that oppressive systems don't exist. Maybe the other side, the way it originally was something like acknowledging they exist, but oh, I need this time and I also need to support other people.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And so I feel like the definition was interdependent in and of itself before, if that makes sense. So
Maybe our society has kind of twisted or cut off pieces of that original definition to maybe
Mhm,
allow businesses to sell products or
mhm.
to kind of fit the culture that we're in Canada.